Hello, and welcome to Muse to Sleep, where your worries fade, your thoughts drift, and your mind unwinds through calming curiosities of the past. Tonight, we're going to travel back, far back, to about the year 1300 AD. No danger, no plot to follow, nothing to stay awake for. Just close your eyes and let the world around you slowly dissolve. Settle in now, find a comfortable position, and let your thoughts drift far away from this modern world, back in time, to a place of towering temples, quiet canals, and golden dawns rising over stone cities. Tonight, we travel to the world of the Aztecs. Imagine, it is early morning in Tenochtitlan, the great Aztec capital. The sun is just beginning to rise above the distant mountains, casting soft amber light across calm, mirror-like waters. You stand at the edge of the city's causeways, wide stone roads stretching over shimmering lakes, connecting floating islands and small villages to the vast, bustling heart of the empire. The air is cool and damp, scented with lake reeds, crushed flowers, and the faint aroma of wood smoke drifting from morning fires. You hear gentle sounds all around you, the rhythmic splash of paddle strokes as canoes glide silently through narrow canals, soft voices of merchants setting up their market stalls with woven blankets and clay bowls, the distant cooing of doves nesting beneath temple eaves, and somewhere far off, the lonely call of a conch shell trumpet announcing the sun's return. This city is alive, but calm, breathing in the hush of dawn. You walk slowly through stone streets lined with low adobe houses, their walls painted white and red, decorated with simple geometric patterns. Children sweep dust from doorways with woven grass brooms. Women kneel by clay hearths, grinding maize on flat stone metates to prepare the morning meal. And elders sit together on mats, wrapped in woven cotton cloaks against the early chill, speaking softly of dreams and ancestors. Above you rise the great temples, massive stepped pyramids carved from volcanic stone, each crowned with small shrines and fluttering banners that dance in the dawn breeze. Priests dressed in bright feathered robes ascend the temple stairs, their bare feet silent on the cool stone, carrying clay incense burners that release curls of sweet-smelling copal resin into the morning air. The smoke drifts skyward, a prayer rising to the gods, thanking them for another day of life. Tenochtitlan is beautiful, an island city floating upon a lake, its waterways lined with chinampas, floating gardens of maize, beans, squash, tomatoes, and flowers in every color. From above, the city looks like a shining jewel, crisscrossed with canals, bridges arching gently over the water, stone temples rising tall amidst tidy clusters of houses and market squares. It is clean, organized, and alive with purpose. Tonight, we will explore this brilliant yet brutal world. We will learn what the Aztecs ate to sustain their empire, what they drank to strengthen their bodies and spirits, what they believed about gods, life, death, and the hidden forces shaping their destiny, and what customs and harsh truths made their civilization both feared and admired. But for now, just breathe and let yourself settle into the quiet dawn of Tenochtitlan, listening to the soft sounds of water, the distant echoes of flutes, and the gentle hush of a world long gone, yet alive again in your dreams tonight. Now, let's leave behind the quiet dawn of Tenochtitlan and enter the busy markets, the smoky kitchens, and the fragrant gardens. to discover what the Aztecs really ate. Food was life. It was prayer, tribute, survival, and celebration. Imagine yourself walking slowly through an Aztec market. The stone path beneath your feet is warm from the sun. Colorful woven blankets spread across the ground hold neat piles of food. Bright red chili peppers, green squashes, orange pumpkins, and golden maize kernels. Women sit cross-legged behind their wares, their hair tied back in cloth bands, their hands busy grinding, shaping, and preparing food for sale. Without Mexico, our modern meals would be almost unrecognizable. There would be no chili to spice up curries, no cornflakes in the morning, no pumpkins to carve at Halloween, no tomatoes for pasta sauces, no turkeys for Thanksgiving feasts. The Aztecs, like the Maya before them, gave us chicle, the sticky sap used for chewing gum. They grew peanuts brought by traders from South America, and they cultivated cacao beans, precious enough to be used as money. Imagine your life without cinema snacks. No popcorn, peanuts, or chocolate treats. Because without the Aztecs, none of these would exist. But not all Aztec foods were so familiar. They also enjoyed meals that might make us pause today. Monkeys, spider monkeys, and howler monkeys were roasted and stewed as delicacies. Imagine the distant howler monkey call echoing through the jungle, perhaps warning its kin. Look out, the Aztecs are coming to eat you. Toads. Though poisonous if eaten in excess, marine toads were used in rituals and possibly as intoxicating drugs. Frogs, safer than toads and considered quite tasty. Cactus. The maguey cactus was a miracle plant. Its spikes became needles, its fibers became thread and rope, its pulp became paper and fuel, its sweet syrup was boiled down or fermented into a kind of cactus wine. Though drinking to drunkenness was forbidden under Aztec law, punishable by death. Dogs, small, nearly hairless dogs, were bred for food, pot-bellied, gentle, and quiet. They were honored in pottery figurines and served in clay pots. Lake scum. Yes, the green algae floating atop lakes. Aztecs pressed it into cakes for protein, though pollution later made it unsafe. Lizards, tricky to catch, but their meat was a prized snack. Ants, crunchy, nutty little treats collected and roasted. Tadpoles, eaten like a delicacy, their slippery texture appreciated rather than refused. Larvae, grubs, maggots, caterpillars, insects before they grew wings, rich in protein and considered nourishing. But not everything was so unusual. Their main staple was maize, corn. They ground it into flour, shaped it into thin pancakes called tortillas, and used these to scoop up stews or wrap small bits of roasted meat and beans. They made tamales, filled with beans, squash, or peppers, wrapped in corn husks and steamed slowly over clay hearths. Beans and cacao beans were so precious, they doubled as currency. To brew a cup of chocolate was an extravagant gesture, like drinking your pocket money in a cup. They prepared chocolate not as a sweet treat, but as a warm, frothy drink. The cacao beans were ground on stone slabs, mixed with water, flavored with vanilla, honey, or chili, and poured back and forth between vessels to create foam. For the poor, chocolate was out of reach. For the rich, it was a sign of wealth and divine favor. Imagine now, the sun high in the sky, the city alive with smells of roasting meat, steaming tamales, fresh maize tortillas, and warm, bitter chocolate frothing in painted clay cups. The Aztec people believed food was a gift from the gods. Each bite honored the earth, and each meal carried gratitude for survival in a world that was harsh, but brilliant, demanding, but beautiful. Tonight, as you drift deeper into sleep, know that food, even the strangest kinds, has always been a way to live, to celebrate, and to honor the life given to us. Now, let's leave behind the bustling food markets and step into the quiet spaces where the Aztecs prepared their drinks, because to them, what you drank was more than refreshment. It was medicine, ritual, and a gift from the gods. Imagine the sun setting over Tenochtitlan. Shadows stretch long across the lake. A cool breeze rustles the maize fields, and the city's canals glow with the last golden light of day. Inside simple homes and noble palaces alike, evening drinks are being prepared. The most sacred drink was cacao. Today, we know it as chocolate, but for the Aztecs, it was a rich, dark, and bitter drink, never sweet. Cacao beans were precious, so valuable they were used as currency. A handful of beans could buy you a fresh tamale, or a small clay cup for your kitchen. To prepare cacao, women roasted the beans over clay griddles until their rich scent filled the air. Then they ground them into a dark, oily paste on smooth stone slabs, mixing it with water, chili, and sometimes honey or vanilla if the household was wealthy. The drink was poured back and forth between clay vessels until it frothed, creating a light, airy foam floating atop the bitter liquid. This foam was prized, the first sip taken slowly, eyes closed, feeling its warmth pass through the body like a blessing. But cacao was not drunk casually. It was reserved for nobles, warriors, priests, and traders after long journeys. For the poor, it remained a dream, the scent wafting from open windows as they passed by, a reminder of status and divine favor. Another drink, known as pulque, was made from the fermented sap of the maguey cactus. Milky white, sour, and slightly sweet, pulque was poured into clay cups and shared during feasts, ceremonies, and quiet evenings by the hearth. Pulque was considered a sacred gift. It was believed to connect drinkers with the gods, to loosen the tongue for poetry and song, to lift spirits in times of grief or hardship. But like cacao, it came with rules. To become drunk was shameful. Punishment ranged from public humiliation to, in severe cases, death, a reminder of the Aztec belief in balance, discipline, and respect for divine gifts. For most people, daily drinking was simple. Fresh water from springs or lakes was scooped into painted clay cups. Sometimes it was flavored with crushed flowers or herbs gathered from gardens or temple grounds. Cool, refreshing, cleansing both body and spirit. But among their medicinal practices were drinks that might surprise us today. To treat certain illnesses, Aztec healers created honey wine infused with bats or toads. Small bats or toads were dissolved into the honey wine, believed to pass their life force into the sick and drive away the spirits of disease. They also practiced a ritual cure in which a patient would remove their sandal, urinate into it, and then drink the urine as a remedy against certain fevers and infections. To us, these remedies seem harsh or unthinkable, but to them each act was rooted in deep belief that the earth, the gods, and the body were one, that healing required sacrifice, and that everything given or taken carried meaning. Tonight, as you rest, imagine the peaceful evenings along the Aztec canals, nobles sipping cacao under torchlit temples, farmers sharing pulque after long days in floating gardens, families drinking cool water scented with crushed petals as the sun slipped below distant mountains. These were not just drinks, they were rituals of gratitude, moments of quiet connection to each other and to the gods who shaped their world. Now, let us drift deeper into their beliefs to discover the gods they worshipped, the stories they told, and the truths they carried about life, death, and the endless cycles of creation. Now, let's leave behind food and drink and step into the spiritual world of the Aztecs, because to them, life was never just what the eyes could see. Everything, from the sun in the sky to the smallest ant, carried meaning, power, and purpose. They believed the universe was alive with gods, and that these gods required respect, offerings, and sometimes sacrifice. Their main god was Quetzalcoatl, the god of the sun and war. They believed each morning he rose into the sky to fight back darkness, and each night he traveled through the underworld, battling monsters until dawn returned to keep him strong. They offered sacrifices, believing that human blood carried the energy of life itself, called Tenali. They believed that the gods had sacrificed themselves to create the world, so humans, in turn, must sacrifice back to keep that world alive. One creation myth tells how the gods gathered at Teotihuacan, the city of the gods, to decide who would become the sun. A humble god named Nanahuatzin stepped forward, covered in sores and wearing simple clothes. He jumped into the great fire and became the sun, burning bright and golden across the sky. Another god, proud and richly dressed, hesitated. When he finally jumped in, he became the moon, his light softer, cooler, marked forever by shadows of doubt. They believed the earth was created from the body of a giant goddess named Quetzalcoatl, who was torn apart by Huitzilopochtli in battle. Her body became mountains and valleys, her blood turned to rivers, and her hair became fields of maize waving under the sun. They worshipped Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, god of wind, learning, and creation. He was believed to have taught humans how to grow maize, how to measure time, how to write, heal, and build. He was gentle and wise. Unlike Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, god of the night sky, sorcery, and fate, Tezcatlipoca could grant power or take everything away in an instant, leaving only ruin. To the Aztecs, the world had ended 4 times before. Each age was destroyed by different forces. The first by jaguars, the second by wind, the third by rain of fire, the fourth by floods. They believed they were living in the 5th sun, an age destined to end in earthquakes that would consume the earth unless the gods were fed. Interestingly, the Maya also believed in cycles of time. Their calendar marked great cosmic ages, the last of which completed in what we know today as the year 2012. Many thought this meant the world would end then, but to the Maya, it simply meant the ending of one era and the gentle turning of time into a new cycle. This is why sacrifice was central. It was not seen as cruelty, but as cosmic duty. They believed the gods had bled themselves to create life, so humans must offer blood in return to maintain balance and prevent destruction. During certain rituals, captives or volunteers were laid upon stone altars at the temple tops. Priests, dressed in bright feathered robes, opened the chest and offered the still beating heart to the gods, holding it high as the sun rose, letting light touch it before burial. To us, this seems brutal. To them, it was sacred, a necessary act to keep the world from falling into darkness. In some ceremonies, after sacrifice, a small part of the flesh might be eaten by priests or nobles, not for hunger, but to take in the life force of the offering, to honor the gods with the strength and courage of the one given. It was a world where death and life were bound together, where giving one's life was the greatest gift imaginable. They believed in an afterlife of many paths, those who died in battle or women who died in childbirth went to Tenochtitlan, the house of the sun, where they joined the sun god in his journey across the sky. Those who drowned or died from water-related causes went to Tlalocan, a paradise ruled by Tlaloc, the rain god, where endless spring and flowers bloomed. Others went to Mictlan, the underworld, 9 long levels of darkness and challenges, each descended after death with the help of a loyal dog spirit, until the soul reached quiet, still peace. To the Aztecs, death was not an end, but a continuation, a returning to the gods who created them, a repayment for the breath they borrowed each day. Tonight, as you lie here safe in your bed, know that their world was woven with meaning. Every dawn a battle, every meal a prayer, every life a gift given, and one day returned. Let these old truths ease your thoughts and carry you softly to the next part of our journey, where we will discover the brutal realities of their daily life, sacrifices, punishments, and harsh customs that shape the brilliance and darkness of their world. Now, let us journey deeper into the brutal truths of Aztec life, because for all their achievements, their art, poetry, gardens, and temples, the Aztec world was built upon sacrifice, discipline, and harsh realities that shaped each day. They believed the world was living its 5th age, an age destined to end in earthquakes unless the gods were fed with human hearts. At the dawn of this age, the gods gathered in Teotihuacan, the place where gods were born. The sun of the 4th age had been destroyed by a rain of blood and fire. Darkness covered the world. The gods decided only by one of them setting themselves alight could the sun be reborn. The boastful Tenochtitlan declared he was the greatest god and should become the sun. But when he approached the roaring bonfire, he trembled and stepped back, making excuses. Perhaps tomorrow, perhaps after another prayer, perhaps another god should go first. Then the humble and wise Nanahuatzin stepped forward. Covered in sores, clothed simply, he took a long running leap and jumped into the flames. In that moment, boom, the earth had a son. Ashamed, Tenochtitlan finally leapt after him, becoming the moon, his light softer, his pride forever shadowed by a hesitation. But the sun did not move across the sky. Nanahuatzin demanded sacrifice in return for his own. So one by one, the gods approached Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, and offered their living hearts. Only then did the sun begin to travel overhead. And so the Aztecs believed if the gods gave their hearts to keep the sun alive, then humans must do the same to keep the world in balance. Sacrifices. On festival days, captives or volunteers were led up steep temple steps. Priests in bright feathered cloaks and turquoise jewelry guided them to the altar. They were laid upon smooth carved stone. Incense smoke curled into the sky as drums beat low, like a heartbeat of the earth itself. With quick skill, the priest opened the chest and lifted the still beating heart toward the rising sun, letting its warmth touch it before placing it in a carved bowl as an offering. To us, this seems brutal beyond imagining, but to them, it was not cruelty. It was duty, a necessary repayment for life and sunlight, an act to ensure crops would grow, rains would fall, and the world would continue turning. Sometimes, small parts of the offering were consumed by priests or nobles, not out of hunger, but as sacred communion, taking in the bravery, spirit, and life force of the one given to the gods. Punishment's daily life also carried harsh justice. Thieves could be enslaved or have their goods seized publicly. Adulterers were often executed or stoned to death. Drunkenness, especially among the young, was severely punished. The Aztecs believed intoxication led to disorder, and maintaining discipline was a divine command. First offenses were met with public humiliation, but repeat offenders faced execution. As an example to others, slavery. Slavery was common, but unlike European chattel slavery, Aztec slaves could own property, marry freely, and even buy their freedom back. Many became slaves to repay debts or as punishment for crimes. Others were prisoners of war, serving noble households until sacrificed in temples as offerings to the gods. Warfare. Aztec society was built upon conquest. Young men trained from childhood to fight, learning to wield obsidian-edged clubs called macuahuitl, to throw spears, and to move silently through enemy lines. Victory in battle brought honor, tribute, and captives for sacrifice. Defeat brought shame, enslavement, or death. Daily hardships. Even outside temples and battlefields, life was hard. People rose before dawn to grind maize on heavy stone metates, fetch water in clay jars from distant canals, sweep dusty courtyards clean, and work long hours in fields of maize, beans, squash, or amaranth under the harsh sun. Children learned discipline early. Boys carried water jars and firewood. Girls swept, ground grain, and learned weaving. Disobedience brought beatings with cactus spines or wooden rods, considered necessary to build character and obedience. Yet despite these brutal truths, there was beauty. At night, torchlight flickered across temple stones. Flutes and drums played soft songs of devotion. Families gathered around clay hearths, sipping warm atoll drinks, listening to elders tell stories of gods and heroes under the endless stars. To the Aztecs, life was not meant to be easy. It was meant to be meaningful. A series of offerings, duties, and devotions. Each day a chance to give back to the gods who made the sun rise and the rains fall. Tonight, as you lie here, listening to their truths, know that your life is gentler. Your world is safe and quiet. You need offer nothing tonight except your peaceful rest and quiet gratitude for the warmth, food, and sleep freely given to you. Now, let us wander deeper into the hidden corners of Aztec life, where custom shaped each person's place in the world, and every tradition held quiet meaning. Naming customs. A child's name was more than identity. It was destiny. The Aztecs named their children after the exact day of birth, each ruled by a specific god, animal, or natural force. Imagine a newborn named One Flower, destined for grace, artistry, and beauty in speech and gesture. Or a child named Seven Deer, believed to carry the swift, restless spirit of the deer, agile in movement, but perhaps impulsive in decisions. Parents consulted priests trained in the Tonalpawali, the sacred 260-day calendar, to interpret the child's fate and character. This name was a lifelong compass, woven into prayers, blessings, and every decision made on their behalf. Names were rarely changed, but if a child fell gravely ill, a name change ritual could be performed to confuse evil spirits, giving the child a new start under a different fate. Teeth filing and inlays beauty was both painful and permanent. For some, teeth were filed into sharp points, creating a fierce, jaguar-like appearance meant to intimidate enemies and display bravery. Others drilled tiny holes into their front teeth and set in pieces of jade, turquoise, or hematite, creating glinting smiles that flashed green or blue whenever they spoke or laughed under the sun. This practice required skilled artisans using stone drills and natural adhesives made from plant resins and tree sap. The process was painful and could damage teeth if done improperly, but those who bore the gems proudly showed wealth, endurance, and beauty blessed by the gods. Flower wars. Unlike conquest battles fought to seize land or tribute, flower wars were arranged as ritual combat. Neighboring city-states agreed to meet on designated fields where warriors fought bravely not to kill, but to capture prisoners for sacrifice. These wars served many purposes: honoring the gods with worthy offerings, allowing young warriors to prove their courage, maintaining political balance without full-scale destruction. Captured warriors were treated with respect, fed well, and given the chance to display dignity before sacrifice, a practice that preserved honor on both sides of the battlefield. The name Flower War comes from the flowery speech and poetry used to describe battle, viewing combat as a sacred, blooming offering to the gods. Strict education. The Aztecs were among the few ancient cultures with mandatory education for all children, regardless of social status. From age 5, boys carried water jars, collected firewood, and learned farming techniques. At age 15, they entered Karmakak for nobles, or Telpokali for commoners. Training in warfare, religion, history, song, and obedience. Girls were taught weaving, cooking, and ritual duties, learning to grind maize into flour with rhythmic precision, weave intricate cotton garments, and care for household shrines. Discipline was strict. If a child was lazy, they might be pricked with cactus spines. Repeated disobedience could lead to forced inhalation of chili smoke in a closed room, a burning punishment meant to cleanse arrogance. Yet this harshness was rooted in care, shaping children into respectful, capable adults who upheld family honor and societal harmony. Marriage customs. Marriage was considered both a spiritual union and social responsibility. Families hired matchmakers, often wise elderly women, to find suitable partners based on age, birth date, social class, and character. Wedding rituals included sweeping the new home to remove bad luck, tying the bride's huipil, cloak, to the groom's tilmatli, cape, as a symbol of their binding union, feasting for 4 days, during which the couple remained apart, purified through prayer and offerings before consummating the marriage on the 5th night. Divorce was permitted for irreconcilable differences, infertility, or abuse. But both parties had to return wedding gifts and offer public apologies to avoid community shame. Beauty standards. Beauty ideals were rooted in spiritual symbolism and social status. Head shaping. Infants' heads were gently bound with cloths and boards to create elongated foreheads, considered noble and intelligent. Piercings and tattoos. Men and women wore ear spools, nose ornaments, lip plugs, and tattoos depicting gods, animals, or geometric symbols marking coming-of-age ceremonies, war achievements, or priestly devotion. Blackened teeth. Using plant dyes, some stained their teeth a deep black to emphasize mouth shape and create an air of mystery and refinement. Physical beauty was not vanity alone. It was a sign of discipline, devotion, and harmony with the gods' designs for human form. Though these customs may seem strange to us today, to the Aztecs, they carried meaning. They were acts of identity, of belonging, and of honoring the divine. Each tooth inlay, each pierced ear, each name and shaped brow was a silent prayer, a way to live beautifully within a world shaped by gods, duty, and unseen forces. Tonight, as you rest, imagine yourself among them, moving gracefully in woven cotton robes, hearing the rhythmic beat of drums in distant temples, breathing in the warm air scented with copal incense and crushed flowers. Let these traditions settle around your mind like a quiet blanket, reminding you of the beauty that exists, even within the strangest customs of worlds long gone. Now, let the stories settle softly in your mind, like petals drifting down onto quiet lake waters. You have walked the stone streets of Tenochtitlan, felt dawn's first light on temple stones, smelled roasting maize and cacao drifting from open hearts, listened to priests chanting quiet prayers to gods of sun and night. Imagine yourself there, at the edge of a moonlit canal. The water is still, reflecting the flicker of torchlight from distant homes built on floating gardens. You sit on a carved stone step, feet bare, feeling the cool damp rising from the earth. Reeds rustle softly as small fish break the surface with gentle ripples. Overhead, the sky stretches black and endless, pinpricked with thousands of stars. No streetlights dim their glow. No distant engines rumble through the dark. Only silence, deep and ancient, broken by the quiet flute songs drifting from far across the water. A breeze brushes your face, carrying scents of crushed marigolds and copal incense from a nearby shrine, damp earth and green maize leaves, faint wood smoke from a dying cooking fire. You breathe in slowly. The air is warm and cool all at once, a gentle caress along your cheek, wrapping you in peace. Somewhere nearby, you hear soft voices, a grandmother telling stories to children curled on woven reed mats. Her words weave legends of gods and giants, of sun and moon, of creation and sacrifice, of life's quiet duties and hidden beauty. You hear the small sighs of sleeping children, the shuffling of feet on packed clay floors, the rhythmic grinding of maize carried on the night breeze from women preparing tomorrow's meal even before dawn. Imagine yourself rising from the stone step, walking slowly along narrow canals, past silent chinampa gardens floating on calm waters, past homes painted with white and red clay, their walls glowing faintly in the torchlight. You find a quiet corner near a flowering bush, its blossoms closed for the night. You lay down on a woven mat, the ground beneath warm from the day's sun, now radiating its heat into the cool night air. The earth is firm beneath you. The stars wheel slowly above, silent and eternal. Your breath matches the rhythm of the sleeping city, slow, quiet, peaceful. Tonight, there are no battles to fight, no maize to grind, no gods to please, no duties to fulfill. Tonight, there is only rest. Rest, as the Aztecs once did after long days in floating gardens and crowded markets. Rest, beneath a sky alive with gods who watch, but ask nothing more for now. Feel your body sinking deeper, into the warmth of your blanket, into the hush of darkness, into the calm river of sleep that carries all worries away. May your dreams be peaceful. May your mind drift softly to ancient places, to cities of stone and water, to temples crowned with dawn light, to quiet mornings where the world begins again. Sleep now. You are safe. You are warm. You are home. Good night.